Okay, so today we are going to discuss the role of research in business. And if you are a research leader or even a design leader, you might be getting asked this question a lot, and you might have frameworks to do this in different kinds of fashion to kind of establish the value, depending on the maturity of the practice, right? So, but then that's not the angle which I'm going to take today. I'm going to take an angle which sometimes is overlooked, which is the from the first principles in terms of why should a research practice exist in a business, right? As you are like, if you are like most people, you might uh, agree with me that gut decision making is problematic, and taking a slightly light-hearted approach. If you like this kind of workplace cartoons, there is a cartoon that's pretty funny that takes a jab at gut decisions. The main character, I'm not going to name the character because the author came inside controversy recently. It's a very popular character, and people often refer to this cartoon in workplace style comic scenario. So the main character asks, which part of your gut is the smart part? Is it the lining or the core? So if you think about it, not just from a literary sense, even by the name of it, right? The word gut decision does not make it sound like it is very high qualitative uh, kind of place decisions are coming from. So that aside, the role of research in business in context is to de-risk decisions. And this research does this by providing logic to arguments and ensuring that the slow decision process gets its due. If you're familiar with Daniel Kahneman's famous book, Thinking Fast and Slow, the Nobel Prize winning author, if you are unfamiliar with Daniel Kahneman, he uh, illustrates this point very beautifully in his book in terms of how fast thinking and slow thinking works and why slow thinking is important in making good decisions. And if you think about business strategy, logic is the most critical or the fundamental aspect to any kind of strategic thinking or a strategic framework. Without sound logic, almost always fast thinking takes over and really makes a quick decision for you that may look logical at the outset, but error prone when you really look at it in more detail. There is enough neurobiological evidence also to substantiate the fact that gut decision making is error prone. Decision making happens as a result of neuron firing at some parts of the brain called ventromedial prefrontal cortex as well as the striatum, and happens when we feel sufficiently confident about the decision that we are about to make. Normally, this is fine, but uh, the problem is that it is very subjective. This kind of sense that, okay, we are close to making a decision and I'm confident about it, that sense is very subjective. So, and hence error prone. You also have a good bit of research that points that even before somebody makes a decision, like 6 or 7 seconds prior to somebody making a decision, uh, researchers could predict that this person was about to make a decision like 7 seconds ahead of time, which also points to that fact that it might not necessarily be very uh, accurate. It is more like a subjective feeling that is going to trigger this neuron, like this chemical reaction in the brain, right? I can also illustrate this with a practical example used in the famous book, as I mentioned, like Thinking Fast and Slow. So I'm taking an example out of that book. If you're ready, we can try that. And if you already are familiar with it, don't try it. But if you're not, try this, right? And try to answer this within 3 to 5 seconds, and not take more than that in terms of time, because it's not a hard problem. It's just tricking your mind. Okay, a bat and a ball cost $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Okay, so I gave you 5 seconds. If you already thought about it and if you said the answer is 10 cents, you're like most people who got this wrong. Which is doesn't mean that it is a bad thing. It is just that your mind tricks you into thinking fast at this point and trying to answer that. The math is not very hard, and if you think about it, if the bat needs to cost $1 more than the ball needs to only cost 5 cents because the bat needs to be $1 and some cents and still be $1 more than the ball, which should be $1.05, right? So why does this happen? This really happens because our mind works in strange ways, where there is this fast thinking part of the brain which takes over and tries to answer this quickly and moves ahead because it doesn't want to engage all the resources and uses minimal resources to try to get something done, right? And that's just how human brains work. And this is why you need a deliberate process for researching, and have these research process thoroughly embedded in your organizational framework in terms of making decisions. Because otherwise, even if you are the smartest person, the smartest leader, you are bound to make mistakes. And research is going to be your savior in terms of helping you think slow, because it lays out all the evidence. You can look at it. You can have a process from an organizational design standpoint to analyze research results before you make all these critical decisions, and make sure that they are considered and given its due before making decisions. So decisions are protected from rash decisions. So with that, I hope you can appreciate the value of research in a business, primarily because research supports decisions that are not gut decisions. It gives quality to decisions. Hopefully that helps.